My next show.
Yo, listen, right now, I'm here with a very good friend of mine, straight out of Chicago, man Vic Mensa. What's going on?
What's up, guy? How you feeling, man?
I'm all good. Back in the building,
Back in the building.
back in the UK.
Love it.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about.
Definitely.
So, like, how long is it since we hooked up? Is it like a year, 18 months or something?
Something like that. At least a year.
Right.
Probably a little bit over.
And a lot's happened.
Yeah.
Crazy. Where do we start? Like, where do we
That's
pick
on
it up from? All right, let's get into the EP first of all. There's a lot going on. Like, what was, because you're really versatile as a musician. You can do mad different styles as an MC, as a singer, and you're kind of like you are a triple threat, not kind of like. So, what made you focus on going in the direction that you did with this EP? Because it's kind of hard, like very, very hard to some of the other stuff that you've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just the place that I've been at in my life and the things I've been going through and the things that have been happening in the world that just brought out this type of emotion from me, I felt like with so much turmoil and struggle around me right now, it was important to talk about that stuff.
So, when did this like first, because when I met you, it was like just after the mixtape,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was blazing out on the radio, then Down on My Luck, like, what was it that? Because I didn't pick that up from them. What was like the first thing where it was like you started to like see things was changing?
Man, really around that whole time, there's just a lot of things going on that, with me, people didn't see, people couldn't tell. And so that's why I try to break it down in the EP. Specifically in the song, there's a lot going on, and just give context, so people could understand what's brought me to this place.
Right. What would you say was the most vivid point where you were like, I got to address this? Because for me, when I saw you, you just looked like you was on top of the world. Like you just, you was king of the party, tore down Reading Festival, like amazingly. Like it was just like insane what you did there. So as a fan, it's always, we hear what you say in the lyrics, but it's always, what was the catalyst? This is a deep one today, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Catalyst. I'd say it was somewhere around Down on My Luck, and like right after that. Not a specific one incident, but just there was kind of like points in time when I felt as if the music that I was making wasn't aligning with the person that I am, and really connecting, because the way I was commenting songs around that time, didn't all the way lock in with everything that I've experienced up to that point, and was continuing to experience. And the things I'm talking about, and there's a lot going on, and the things I'm talking about in my album, those are the same things that have been on my mind since I started rapping, since I was like 16 years old, And a song like 16 Shots, that's something that I've wanted to make a song like that since I was a kid, reading Malcolm X and Huey Newton. And that's the kind of person I've always been. I think maybe just experiencing things in people, seeing one side of me, was kind of like leading me away from like my essence or my core.
So it's kind of like a struggle within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like to get the creative thing out.
Well, yeah, and a lot of drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so
What kind of drugs?
Molly, I mean, a lot of shit. Just like, not heroin or some shit, but like, yeah, just drugs that were depleting the serotonin in my brain, and kind of had me on a real high at that point in time. But then, that's a facade, and so that shit kind of crashed, and then I had to rebuild from it. But I'm glad, because I rebuilt stronger than before.
There was a period in rap where Molly was mentioned in every single track. Like, yo, I don't do nothing. Like, I'm so clean and legit. Like, I don't know, like, what it's like. But what was, the Molly thing, like, what was it doing? And then how did you, just how do you know when it's enough Because some people don't always figure that bit out.
With myself, things that I went through with drugs was probably around the time I was like 19, and I started with psychedelic drugs, and I was doing the internet stuff. And I mean, you could probably take that from listening to that music just as it is. I just kind of got on a path of like dependency on drugs, though, you know, and just feeling like I needed them to be myself, or I needed them to create. And so I would just exhaust that part of my brain until those drugs stopped working. And then I would switch over to another drug. So, I mean, I got to a point where it's like I couldn't even do Molly anymore. If I did it, all I would get is like the crash and the come down. Same thing with like mushrooms, and same thing with like snorting Adderall. And so going through all that brought me to some really low places. And I was, blessed enough to have people in my life that were able to look past like things I was doing wrong, as a result of that, to help me get better from it, though, and get to a completely drug-free place. And that's what I realize is obviously strongest for me.
That's dope. I mean, it's crazy. Like, how did you come to terms with it? Because it's like
Rapping about it, pretty much, yeah. Writing. I mean, that's how I come to terms with most things in my life, is writing them. That's what excites me most, and that's what brings me the most satisfaction, is putting it down in words. That's how I figure out a lot of things within my brain and make sense of my past and bring it into my present and future.
you're almost like a very different person. Like, I never seen you this coherent. Like, that's not this, but it's like you look fresh. You look like you've been living good for the past 2 years. You look like one of the guys who's got loads of money. You know when you see The Rock? The Rock's like the epitome of health. Like, always smiling, like cool. And,
Yeah, I don't even care about money, man. I mean, like,
no, but you look
like $1 million.
yeah, definitely,
Thank you, bro.
definitely. It's good to see.
Thank you, bro.
Good to see. Let's get back into the EP now. You got a joint called Bay. Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
Cody's brother, my manager, his brother was playing like some classical guitar, and we were living in this crib in Beverly Hills called Thug's Mansion, acoustic version, and so it would just be music going on every day in the morning, and I woke up and he was just like playing classical guitar, and I recorded it on my iPhone, and then came back and gave it to Poppy Beats, and he chopped it up, and we just vibed out with it. That was something for the EP. I wanted to include a couple songs that were like, some shit girls would play going to the club and getting dressed. Just have like some party records, some fun stuff on there for the summertime. That was something I wanted to get out on there, because in the album it's just all, explicitly real shit.
How important is Poppy Beats to what you do? Because we see him on the Instagram, you see you shouting him out, you see him in some of the video clips, but for you, as Vic Mensa, like in terms of what you do, like how important is he to like what you're doing with your sound right now in your direction?
I wouldn't be right here without Poppy Beats. Poppy Beats is completely integral to the entire operation. Like, the operation would not be the same without Poppy Beats. Poppy Beats makes, at this point, produces pretty much all of my music. He's been recording my music since Internet Tape. He recorded, engineered, mixed, all of that. And, just like on a musical level, super, super necessary, but also just like as a person in my life, somebody that's like been there in the trenches with me through ups and downs, and like I love Poppy Beats. That's my brother, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Poppy Beats.
Shout out to Poppy Beats. As an artist, how important is it to have like people around you that are true friends, like fam? Because again, I'm just going off, like, we live in an age now where we see a lot of success as fans, but people don't really see like some of the core things that help or like make it happen.
Very, very important, man, and just like being in the position of somebody that's in the public eye and people make their perceptions about you. I've seen a lot of people close to me turn phony or try to steal money from me or try to, finesse me. and people that I never would have thought that would happen from. So, you know, having like real, genuine people in my life makes all the difference. That's the only shit that even keeps me sane, because that shit'll really get under your skin when you grew up with just trying to, you know, get over on you. And so it's a blessing to have a couple real ones in my life, though.
Okay. Tell me about the joint Dynasty.
Dynasty, yeah. So, Save Money, Rock Boys, New Dynasty. It sounded like some Rockefeller shit when my photographer Jake found a sample somewhere, and then we chopped it up once again. Poppy Beats chopped that up, and it just sounded like some Rockefeller shit. And I kind of just wanted to, you know, flex that muscle on there and lay out some of the story as well, give some context, you know, talk about how I've been doing this thing in Chicago for a long time, you know, before different scenes had popped off and started to simmer down. Been there before, we'll be there after it.
Okay. The last time we did an interview, I think it was a BBC show in London, and then we were talking, and then security kind of got a bit brave, and we got interrupted.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they were tripping.
It was about to turn up in a very, very real way. And I asked you a question. I asked you, what is the most significant thing you've learned from JayZ? Like you signed, you know, to JayZ, so forth. So, Rock Nation, yeah, just going back to that question from a year ago, what's the most significant thing you learned from working with JayZ?
JayZ is just a model on how to build an empire, you know, and how to cover all avenues and still be really good at rapping, you know. So that's really what I look to Jay for, is just he's been through all these situations, you know. He's been through the drama and he's came out on top and done the rap battles and done corporate moves and tech and signing artists, you know, while always just being razor sharp with the words.
Okay. So is that something you want to aspire to? Is that the path that you want to take, or is it you more just like on the creative side?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm taking my own path, but I definitely take cues from Jay just as far as how professional he is. You know, Jay is somebody that just keeps it together. Like you saw him in that elevator with that shoulder. Like, that was a boss move.
Right. Yeah. Some guys might have lost their cool.
A lot of them, most probably.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Hov is somebody that's able to like keep his mind on the path, regardless of crazy shit going on around him.
Another crazy thing that happened for you was working with Kanye West, connecting. And then was that really how you hooked up with him? You're both from Chicago. Was it really Mr. Hudson who connected you backstage at Wireless a year ago? Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then from there, what was it like creating Wolves? Because last time we hooked up as well, it was kind of still top secret and stuff like that. So.
Oh, word. Yeah, no, that was dope. That was like the first day that I really met Ye, because I met him differently. I met him with Mr. Hudson backstage at Wireless, but he wasn't paying attention. And then he found me randomly through a friend of mine named Michael Uzawuru, dope producer. And he had Che come find me, and then I got in the studio with him. That was the first day I met him when he showed me Wolves, and I was like, yo, the bass, like, just took me to a different place. So when everybody else left the studio, I just stayed in there and recorded that.
Saw the SNL performance and that you guys did, and it's deep. It's kind of like you guys. It's like you've been performing it for 10 years, like the way that you've done it. It was just like...
Yeah, that was like all on the spot too. That was dope. That was something that really inspired me, was seeing him put that entire performance and the vision of it and bringing the ceiling down all more or less day before.
How's it feel to see the joint that you did with him, You Mad, be incorporated into Beyonce's stage show?
That's really dope. That's really dope. Beyonce is just obviously the queen, and always shown a lot of love. So seeing that in her set was fresh.
But that must have been like the first time. I mean, when I saw it, I was gassed for you. I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and then it just comes in. You just hear the horns, and I was like, whoa. So it's like it must have been a real trip for you.
Yeah, that was dope. Especially watching that at the United Center. That was awesome.
All right. Tell me about the track Danger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what went into that when you was making that? What was the energy? What was in your mind?
Just electric energy, man. You know, when I was like 17, I fell off a bridge trying to sneak into Lollapalooza, trying to climb down some crazy shit. Fell like 30 feet, got electrocuted by 15,000 volts of electricity. I'm always in the midst of some drama, some type of hectic situation. So when I'm saying I love the danger, like, I just mean that, you know?
Okay, that's dope. I see that with your stage show. Like, again, like UK, if you haven't seen Vic Mensa perform, make sure you go to, I mean, any of the live shows, like, because the crowd diving, the way you use the crowd and everything else, the way that you play instruments and the way that, yeah, it's insane. It's like,
Thank you, bro.
totally next level. When are you going to be back in the UK to do shows?
Man, I think we're trying to put something together right now. Talk about doing like a title thing. So hopefully that'll come together within the next month or two.
Okay. Recently, you know, you've been pretty vocal about what's been happening in America. And, you know, the situation where what's happened with the police, people being victims of being arrested. And then I think things took a turn recently where you had the shooting of the cops in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that kind of leave things now? Because that's kind of like turned the whole conversation in a different direction.
Change the focus. You know, in my mind, there's no justification for shooting cops out of a parking garage. So I think that was a horrible thing to do. But I've been saying for a long time and been feeling for a long time as if the unjust killing of black men by police officers was not gonna keep happening without any type of repercussions for police officers, you know? And I mean, that's just the universe, that's nature. If you continue to punch somebody, eventually, if they're not all the way dead, they're gonna punch you back. And black people are hurt, we're damaged, you know what I'm saying? And have had way too much of brutality from the people sworn in to protect and serve us. So that was gonna happen, but it did divert the focus. And I think at this point, what's important is that we come together and, you know, artists and people with influence, we click up, link up, and organize, you know, towards specific goals. But I think what the past week did was really just alert the rest of the world to how very severe the situation is.
Because that's kind of like America's worst nightmare, what happened in Dallas. And I think
that's their worst nightmare.
No, well, yeah.
Our worst nightmare is being killed by the hundreds every year, though. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, rest in peace to those police. I don't condone that violence, but you're talking about hundreds of black people killed by the police every year that don't commit crimes. And I don't be trying to hear about somebody's criminal record when they get killed for selling CDs on the street, you know, because nobody's going to tell me that anyone out here is a saint and doesn't have a past. But, you know, when you live in a society governed by laws, you're supposed to be tried by those laws, and we don't get that opportunity a lot of the time. So that was a lot of people's worst nightmare, but we've been living our worst nightmare.
You'd think with a black president, this wouldn't be happening. When, from your perspective, how or when? I mean, I asked the question the other day, like, when will it stop? Because for me, even just witnessing what's going on from over here, it just looks crazy. It's equally disturbing for people over here when they see what's going on, and I'm sure it's much more disturbing for yourselves, like living over there and it's happening in your communities. But from your perspective as someone who's a role model, who's looked up to, and someone who's out there touring the world, what do you think it would take to make some kind of change, like to bring about some kind of change?
It's going to take legislation, It's going to take elected organizations of people in place to hold police accountable for their actions and convict them when they murder black people. It's also going to take training for police. It's going to take sensitivity training. It's going to take added attention on the issue. We all have racial biases, And I think what Barack Obama being president really did, though, was inflame a lot of the hatred and bigotry and racism inside a large part of America. That's what Make America Great Again is. It means make America white again, because you have to look on TV and see a black president. And so those are the people that are at Donald Trump rallies supporting the KKK and punching black people as they walk out through the back door, because they've been so upset that they had to answer to a black president. So you see the shit just bubbling up and it's just exploding. Really, it just exploded. Like it just went there. But it's not out of nowhere. It's things that people have been harboring for a long time, things they grew up with. And just the images that you see of black people that you grow up seeing, specifically in America, leads a lot of people to have a lack of empathy for them. That's why Black Lives Matter exists. And it's crazy that it's been co-opted by the media to be some type of terrorist group or some type of hate organization when literally in my mind, Black Lives Matter is not even an organization. That's not even how I look at it. I don't even look at it as a group or even just as a movement. I look at it as an emphatic, true statement. Black Lives Matter. So to say that that's a terrorist statement is racist in itself, and it doesn't negate the fact that white lives matter or Latino lives matter or blue lives matter. It just says that our lives matter and you've been treating them as if they don't, and this is what's happening now. This is the result of our lives being devalued and discriminated against.
Did you see any of the protests that happened in London in the last few days?
I saw images. I saw Stop Killing the Man Down.
No, yeah, shout out to Novelist. Like that's a real powerful image. How's it feel to see that though? Because even for me, like I was coming into my show on Friday night, I see the march. I see a lot of my friends in the march. People are holding the banners, Black Lives Matter, Stop Killing People, and it's in response to what's going on in America. From again, you're a worldly person. You travel the world, you see everything, and you've been to the UK a lot. Like a lot of people have got love for you out here. So how does it feel from your point of view to see that like happening out here?
It feels really dope. Yeah, I ran into someone outside of my hotel a couple days ago. The day after, 2 days after the videos of Alton Sterling and Philando were released, and they were doing like a debate on race and brutality and violence in East. And so I went there and just, it was dope hearing their perspectives and speaking with those people, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to strive for is just an understanding between all people, And so having a lot of support from people of all colors all over the world is important and necessary, because the point that we're trying to make is that we all bleed the same blood. And so it's all of our responsibility to stop that blood from bleeding.
It sounds like, from what you've said and for what you put in your music, you genuinely care. And you got an overview of the whole thing, and you've got a lot of passion for getting the right thing done. Would you ever get into the political process yourself?
I put out my EP. There's a lot going on with a campaign called Respect My Vote. So you could download it for free by pledging to vote. So in that respect, some of the things I've been doing have been political. And to what you said before, I do care. It's just how I am. That's the person I was raised to be. That's what's on my mind. I couldn't sleep after seeing that video of Philando Castile killed in the car with his girlfriend and his daughter. You know, I couldn't sleep. All I could see when I started dreaming was black people being shot by police. I was having nightmares for days, even trying to daydream. You know, I was having nightmares. And so that's why I put so much of it into the music. And that's why I'm talking about this so much, is because that's what matters to me. That's what's on my mind. And I'm not going to rest until we're free, meaning I'm likely never going to rest in this lifetime.
You think that's the case?
Yes.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep. It's been dope. No, like I've been wanting to do this for a while because I see your Instagrams, I see your tweets, and you know you put it out there, and you know it's good to chop it up with you and get this.
Good to chop it up with you too, bro.
Every time we've ever hooked up, it's been backstage or at a party.
Right.
It's like it's been madness.
Security tripping.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. So what's next? Like, well, you got the EP, it's popping off.
Yeah.
You'll be doing shows out here in the UK. You're rolling with Rock Nation, JayZ.
Yeah, we got some shows coming in the US, and music from the album is on the way this year.
What do you want to do though creatively? What's the end game? What do you want to do? Because you're connected. Like your rap privilege is deeper than most people. You're connected to Hove, connected to Kanye, Beyonce's performing to your track around the world. It's like there's a lot going on.
What I want to do, more so than any connections or any cosigns or anyone else, is really, really tell my story, though. So that's what I've been focusing on. That's what I've been doing. And much love to Ye, Hove, and everything. But what I want to do doesn't have that much to do with anybody but me, you know? And everybody's support is integral to it. But what I want to do is you know, really, it's a personal battle.
You gonna work with any of the man them from the UK?
I should, man. I'm definitely with it. I'll rock with them boys.
All right. And anyone you feeling from the UK right now? Is anything popping off that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm always feeling Little Sims. Skepta's album was dope. Yeah, that's what I'm really feeling out here right now.
Okay. All right. Dope to hook you up, man. Like,
Love,
appreciate
bro.
this. All right.
No doubt.
Cool.
Yeah.